tonight, I'm Marla Tejas.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Christine Devine. It happened near Olympic Boulevard and Hope Street. The question now, what led to the...
He's there in downtown LA with more. Ed?
Marla, investigators telling us a random attack, no reason at all for it, but certainly a violent attack. It goes down right in broad daylight. That is surprising to a lot of the neighbors I've been talking to here, saying it's surprising it happened in the daylight because they tell me at night it turns into, as one neighbor put it, zombie land. You'll hear from her in a second. Imagine that, huh? Zombie land. Whew. Let's get into it. Joe, take us into the story. Here's the intersection, Hope and Olympic. Very busy section here, downtown LA, the heart of downtown, just a couple blocks from Crypto.com Arena, and it's not really near Skid Row, but you have a lot of homeless going through here, and that has been the concern of neighbor after neighbor we've been talking through the last couple of hours. Let's get to it. To the video we go. Here is that scene of the violent attack. It happens around 10:30 this morning. LAPD says a woman walking here along Hope approaching Olympic passes a man they identify as a homeless man. Security video shows that homeless man passing by the woman. Then after a few steps he turns around, pulls out a knife and attacks the woman from behind, stabbing her in the neck. She goes down, very serious neck wound. Luckily, a bypasser who was a lady who we're told is in the medical profession rushed over, knew what to do, applied pressure onto the neck wound, kept that woman, the victim, alive so they could rush her off to the ER. She is still with us right now. As for the homeless man, he runs off. LAPD grabs him, and the neighbors reacting, saying when they found out it was a homeless man, not surprised. Listen.
I seen homeless people holding knives. And I was like, oh my God, it's so dangerous. Because I moved here only a few months ago, and I'm going to move out from here because I don't like it at all.
Because it's just that dangerous?
It is very dangerous, honestly. It's like zombie land at night. Sometimes it's evenings by Whole Foods or by Ralph's because so many homeless people here. It is really dangerous.
But this happened in broad daylight, 10:30 in the morning.
Oh, I'm shocked to hear that.
You're worried about your own safety? I mean,
sometimes, I had a guy try to mug me. I was carrying film equipment down in my car really early in the morning one time. Got to be aware.
You're just keeping your eyes open, huh?
Yep.
And now you are looking live the way of the streets, he says. The activity goes on back and forth here. To catch up to the rest of the story, that homeless man arrested a little while ago. Investigators say the security cameras gave a good look at his appearance. They tracked him down a few blocks away. He is now in custody. As for the woman who is attacked, stabbed in the neck, that Good Samaritan, LAPD says most likely saved her life, rushed to the ER, emergency surgery. We're hearing she is out of surgery right now, listed as critical but stable, so there's hope that she may survive all of this, but investigators still working on it. But ladies, to answer your original question, there is no motive here. It seems to be a random attack, and as we're finding out, certainly a surprise attack with that man, the homeless man, coming up from behind and stabbing the woman.
Ed, we cover a vast area and a number of counties. For people who may not know downtown LA that well at this hour, talk about the neighborhood there. You had your one interview mentioned the Ralph's is there, the Whole Foods. I remember when those stores went in, and a lot of people have housing there now, apartments and condos.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Joe will give us a look around because at this block, if you go one block north, continuing on Hope, that's the area. You go past a nice park that's over here between the middle of this block where a lot of the apartments lead into the park that's gated off. And then on the other side of that is some of the restaurants. You're talking about the Whole Foods was a block over. There's a burger place. I'm trying to think of the name that's right across the way, very popular as well, on the next street over. So there's a lot of activity here, a lot of street traffic, if you will, because you have the folks, and we've been watching them. They come home from work, they hit their apartments, they take their dogs out for a walk, and then a lot of them will start walking around to go get some food. Some of the restaurants, the grocery stores you mentioned, Christine, and then as you have it, and luckily we have security with us tonight who helped us with a couple of homeless men who came by, a little bit aggressive. So yeah, it's a very touchy area. Even we're talking now, a little after 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock when the folks came in, busy, but still you've got to be very much on alert.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you pointed that out, Ed, that our crew, you need your own security when you're down there.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say we joke about it, but it's certainly no joke, because as soon as we turn that light on with the camera, they all seem to just navigate toward you, wanting to know what's going on. Of course, you're friendly, but some of them are not friendly. They're very, very aggressive. And we just had it a little while ago, about 15 minutes ago, before we started talking with you. A fella came by, very aggressive, and our homeless team took care of that situation. So, yeah, it's very touchy. But when you talk to the folks here, zombie land at night, like that nice lady said, but during the day, that's what really surprised everybody. broad daylight, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. It actually happened right across the street over there under the trees. There's an entranceway that leads to the apartments on the other side, and apparently from what investigators told us, the woman was trying to make her way to that point, and then the homeless man came by and just a random attack, a surprise attack. Interesting. Can I say one more thing? The police always tell us, ladies, that when you're out here on the streets and you walk by and you're walking by someone who appears to be homeless, they have told us this millions of times, never turn your back on someone like that. They walk by, kind of keep them in your vision. Don't think that just because they walk by you, they're not a threat, because over and over, and they're very correct to point this out, police, we hear about these attacks and they come from behind. Very seldom do they attack you looking at you. They come from behind, a surprise attack. And it's something I always remember out here with the good folks from LAPD. Always tell us, if you're going to be on the streets at night, watch your back. Keep the eyes open on the back of your head, as they say.
And just to reflect on that zombie land image, I remember going to a fashion show there and decided to try to walk to my next location. Made the wrong turn and literally encountered what I called zombie land. It is quite a frightening look when you see somebody like that. Ed, have you encountered that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, very much so, Joe. We just saw it tonight. There were a couple of guys over here right on the side. Let me see. No, I think they moved down, further down on Hope, right over here, and they were seemingly dancing and doing all kind of, acrobatics, and you're thinking, what in the world is going on right over here? And then they just kept walking down. Interestingly, though, Joe and I commented, Joe, our photographer, that a lot of folks are out walking their dogs, and they just walk right by these folks, just almost like they have blinders on. They don't watch at all as to what's going on. So it's an interesting situation down here, and certainly, as we've been finding out, very threatening situation.
Ed Lascos and Joe Prince behind the camera there. Thank you both so much.
A local family is preparing to face their loved one's killer in court tomorrow. The young man murdered back in 2021, blindsided by a group of gang members on a dating app. Fox 11's Haley Winslow spoke exclusively with the family.
Male in one of the walkways.
A nightmare this family has relived every day for nearly 5 years, watching the moment their world shattered again and again.
It takes me right back to July 19th.
Summer 2021. 4 a.m. and 25-year-old Jonathan Granderson, known to his family as Duga, believed he was meeting someone on the dating app Grindr.
I think he would say he would regret going on those apps.
Instead, his family says he was ambushed, robbed, knocked to his knees, and shot while he was down. He and his sister, inseparable.
I knew he was dead when I woke up, but I just didn't tell nobody. I knew because I felt it.
A family who took heart in making each other laugh, now shrouded in silence.
I was literally out of my mind for almost 4 years, and it woke up a lot of sickness that I didn't have. Now I'm trying to be an advocate and get out and help other mothers that's going through the same thing that I went through.
Sounds of joy replaced with a shrine of his ashes and pictures in the living room. Classic. Anger and hurt still raw as they prepare to face his killer in court for the final time.
This is like a victory lap for me, so it's like I'm over, crying. He's gonna have to deal with that for the rest of his life, every single day.
Forever in their hearts, but hearts that will never heal, no matter how much time passes without their Duga.
People are heartless, they're ruthless, and they're cruel. If no one wants to see you at daytime, they don't need to see you at nighttime.
Investigators say this was the 4th person these gang members robbed that night, met all of the victims on Grindr. The only person they killed, but the other 2 people have been testifying in court. The 3rd person, a transgender woman, had her face stomped on and was so terrified by all this, she moved out of state. Now the gunman, convicted of first-degree murder, faces life in prison. Reporting in Long Beach, I'm Haley Winslow, Fox 11 News.
New at 8, a surge in copper wire thefts across Southern California. Thieves are cutting lines in the dark and leaving entire neighborhoods without power. The damage is costly, and cutting live lines can trigger fires and serious injuries.
Some of these crimes are caught on camera as they happen. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf has one such video and the story.
Yeah, we've been seeing these take place all across the city. Typically, it's with street lights. This time, it was cable wires, and as you said, it was caught on video. Go ahead and take a look at it. This is I guess, cell phone video from early Monday morning around 3:15 a.m. here in Van Nuys. You can see two guys, one in a hoodie and another shirtless, wearing a medical mask, surgically removing those cable wires from underground. The witness who recorded this says she called 911, but it took police more than an hour to show up, and by that time the crooks were gone. This area also hit hard by those copper crooks targeting street lights. Many of the lights noticeably ripped of wiring, and according to that witness, the burglars she saw early in the morning yesterday seemed pretty calm and meticulous.
He even took a long black cable, tied it to his car, and they were trying to like really take out as much as they could.
No, the thieves didn't seem worried about getting caught?
Oh, no. Not at all.
So she says those thieves were there around 50 minutes. Police got there about an hour later. So far, no arrest had been made. If you know anything, call police. We're live tonight in Van Nuys. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
You know, in your intro to you, we said copper wire thefts are surging across Southern California. I feel like, Matthew, and you can speak to this, that this has been surging, this problem, for a long time now. What's being done to stop it?
Well, last week, Mayor Bass announced an initiative to, I guess, there's 32,000 streetlights across L.A. that need repairs, and that number is staggering. And she's announcing an initiative to replace those lights with solar-powered lights. Some would argue that, you know, that's not necessarily going after the crooks, but it is fixing the problem, making those lights a little less likely to be, you know, messed with. But yeah, it's a major problem right now across L.A.
And you got some on video right there. All right, let us know what happens on that one.
It's not unusual across LA County to find homeless people just hanging out on bus benches, but we ran into a particularly distressing situation in Hollywood today involving this man. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez tonight with the story you'll see only on Fox 11.
My name is Christina. What's your name?
I like that. I'm David.
David. But what happened that you're here now?
Nothing happened. I'm mopping up the situation. I'm standing right here and not moving.
David says he's not moving from the Metro bus bench on Melrose and Vine.
He's a friendly sort of guy, but he's not all there.
Keith Johnson is part of a citizen homeless advisory group who has been following David for a while.
He was at the bus stop at Melrose and Wilton.
That bus stop now cleared with a different homeless person set up a few feet away. David says he's been at this location a couple of weeks. Have they tried to offer you a place to stay?
Well, I got places all around the world already. Take a look at everything that's built. I'm from New Jersey.
New Jersey?
I have a house there. I became a president. I'm from here and there. I'm from my mom and dad.
I tried 211 yesterday, and then they refer you to LA Homeless Service Authority. I've also reached out to our city councilman's office, their homeless team.
We also reached out to city officials and Metro. Overnight, someone cleaned the bus stop and David moved to the cement next to the bus stop around the corner.
Oftentimes the help comes from whoever they contract with, and they walk up to the person and go, "Would you like services?" And if they refuse, that's it.
As David told us the day before.
And there's nothing going to stop me from doing that. And they know it. And I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to rub it right in their face for what they did. And they can suffer.
So he remains on the sidewalk. The delivery robots drive by, but you can see people stop to help bringing food. We've also seen David engaged in what could be considered public indecency. Indecent exposure, perhaps. We can't show you, but that doesn't seem to surprise anyone in the area.
There's so many rough campers now here in Hollywood where they're not in a tent, they're just out here sleeping on a bus bench or the sidewalk. What is our breaking point? You know, it's not helping them. It's affecting our businesses, our community, our neighborhoods.
We reached out to the mayor's office, sending us a statement reading in part, mental health and behavioral health services lie solely with the county. The mayor's office has asked the county to send mental health support today. And you can see that some people did show up late in the afternoon, identifying themselves as being with the county. They spoke with them for a little bit. They told us they've dealt with them before, that he does not accept help. But then they said they weren't going to do anything unless we left. They didn't want cameras around, so hopefully they will come back after we leave. I'm Christina Gonzalez in Hollywood, Fox 11 News.
Still ahead at 8, evidence being called into question in the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Why the bullet is now the main focus for the defense.
Artist Robert Vargas working on yet another mural here in Koreatown. He's working on another one later this week, honoring farm workers on this first Farm Workers Day. That story next.
And in the weather, you see it right here. Radar right now showing widespread light showers and drizzle moving across the area. More of this tonight, less tomorrow, but these kind of cool temperatures hang around for a few days. I'll have that forecast coming up.
Tiger Woods is breaking his silence on his latest DUI arrest. He says on X, "I know and understand the seriousness of the situation I find myself in today. I'm stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on my health. This is necessary in order for me to prioritize my well-being and working toward lasting recovery." This, as a Florida Sheriff's Office report is made public, saying his eyes were bloodshot and glassy with extremely dilated pupils. The report says he had 2 hydrocodone pills in his pocket and was sweating profusely. 50-year-old Woods told deputies that he looked down at his phone and changed the radio station and didn't realize the truck in front of him had slowed down. He was arrested on suspicion of DUI after he refused a urine test. Tiger Woods has entered a plea of not guilty.
Former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is responding to allegations involving her husband. She says she is devastated after claims her husband shared photos of himself cross-dressing online. Claims also allege he interacted with people in a fetish community. Noem's team is asking for privacy and prayers. The couple has been married more than 30 years. They have 3 children. Noem says her focus right now is on her family and moving forward. She left her post earlier this year after backlash over her handling of immigration and border policy. Major developments in the Charlie Kirk assassination trial. The man accused of killing Kirk is now at the center of new questions about key evidence. Claudette Robinson's defense says the bullet that killed Kirk does not match the rifle linked to Robinson. Lawyers cite a federal analysis that could not confirm a match. The defense is asking to delay the next court hearing set to take place in May. They say they need time to review tens of thousands of files and hours of video. Robinson faces the death penalty if convicted.
A federal judge is blocking President Trump's order to cut funding for NPR and PBS. The judge says the move violates the First Amendment and targets coverage the president disagrees with. The ruling calls the order to shut down public broadcasting unlawful and unenforceable. The court says the government cannot punish media over its coverage. The White House is pushing back and calling the decision ridiculous. The administration says NPR and PBS should not get taxpayer money. NPR and PBS leaders call the ruling a win for press freedom. The case is expected to be appealed. A little more than a month into the war with Iran, gas in LA now averaging $6 a gallon. Other Southern California counties on the cusp of that threshold too. And for the first time since 2022, the average price for gas in the U.S. is more than $4 a gallon. Diesel also hitting record highs. In California, diesel is $7.46 a gallon. In LA, even higher at $7.59. In some places, even charging $8 for regular gas. Drivers around the world are coping. Consider the cost in Paris, France, $10.27. Yeah, $10 a gallon.
Coming up, we are inching closer to Election Day. Tonight, we're highlighting the race for LA County Sheriff.
We're in studio with one of the candidates next.
Weather is sponsored by My Home Sold.
Take a live look outside. Anybody else enjoying the cooler weather? I sure am.
It's nice.
Adam Kruger with the forecast.
It's nice for a change around here. You ask like anyone on the East Coast or the Midwest after the winter they've had, who's enjoying the cooler weather? I don't think you'd have one hand up. But yeah, for us, it's a nice little change of pace after a very warm month. Rounds out with one single day this month with temperatures finally technically cooler than average for this time of year. So, we happen to do that right here on March 31st. There it is, 70 degrees today with that cloud cover. Normal is 71. And as you see right there, the first cooler than normal high temperature this entire month and therefore the only one because the month is over by tonight. So that's because, again, we have the cloud cover. We have some light rain that's actually passing through right now as this area of low pressure moves through. Now, this is overall a pretty weak system, so it's not like we're getting major rain here. I've seen a lot of rain gauges today reporting just a few hundredths of an inch and not much more than that. But we do have a little more coming down right now. You can see the green moving across LA. So that is light rain and drizzle. Where the green goes from light to a little bit darker, that's where the rain's a little more substantial. But still, all of this is just generally light showers. If we were to see yellows and oranges and reds on radar, that would be some of the heavier stuff. Not expecting that this time around. But we do have this one main batch coming through at the moment. You can see there's a little break behind it and then probably another wave at some point late tonight. And by tomorrow morning, this is all out of here. Roads will be dry by tomorrow morning. In a little bit closer, it's not like there's one particular point that's getting much more than others. It's just kind of a blanket of light rain and drizzle coming through the area right now. Now, also, as this system comes through, we have a wind advisory in effect for parts of the mountains and deserts where there's going to be a strong wind out of the west. That's an onshore wind. Gusts could be as high as 55 in these spots, and it's in effect through Thursday evening. Here's what our model is suggesting by 10 o'clock tonight. Notice around Big Bear, for example, it's got gusts over 50 miles per hour. So there's an example of some of those strong winds. All these purple areas is where the strongest winds will be at this point. As we go into tomorrow, you can see the breeze coming in from the ocean, but especially strong in those same areas we highlighted. On Thursday, it's essentially the same type of wind. The hot spots, if you will, up through the desert, the mountains. Look what happens Friday, though. The winds will do almost a 180. Then we get into a Santa Ana wind event. So this will be a dry and warming wind on Friday with the usual Santa Ana wind-prone corridors getting some of those stronger winds. Temperatures overnight tonight, of course, it will be kind of cool as we drop down to the 50s for most. And then tomorrow, temps will be pretty similar to today, maybe topping out around 70 on average. Some areas won't even get there. We do expect a little more cloud cover early, mostly sunny by the afternoon. Highs are on the rest of SoCal tomorrow. Just a lot of numbers between the upper 60s and low 70s. So kind of cool, and we'll call for, I'll say, cool-ish temps once again for Thursday. Then we get to Friday. Again, there's that switch in the winds. Santa Ana winds kick in. You know, that's going to boost our temperatures. So it gets warmer on Friday. This weekend, we are in the 80s. That's for LA and Inland Orange County. For the coast, even though, like we typically see with the Santa Ana winds, the warm air makes it all the way to the ocean. So we could see at the coast temperatures rising to around 80 or so by Saturday. And finally, your valleys, your Inland Empire, low 70s for a couple of days, 80s by the weekend. Back to you.
Go ahead. California is marking its first ever Farm Workers Day, officially replacing Cesar Chavez Day.
Look at the changes and how it went.
live across SoCal. This is LA Live News Tonight on Fox 11 Plus.
New at 8, a controversial housing proposal has residents in San Pedro on edge.
A rehab facility could be coming to a neighborhood, and tonight critics are sounding the alarm. Let's go live to Fox 11's Laura Diaz in San Pedro, where neighbors are speaking out on both sides tonight. Laura?
Yes, Christina, Marla, a lot of people very upset tonight about what to do with this recently vacated facility. And as you just mentioned, they packed a public meeting, and what they had to say, they were quite strident about. Let's listen.
There's a concern that there's going to be too many, and there's a deep concern of being brought in through probation or through other ways and means of law enforcement.
There's justice involved, which means that people who get out on probation or not even probation, just get out early releases, can stay in these places. And you don't know what they bring, what kind of baggage they bring.
Well, that was the scene tonight at the San Pedro Elks Lodge. Speaker after speaker worried about what will become of a building on Southwestern Avenue. Now, there is a plan to turn it into a 400-bed drug and rehab center. Testimony was very negative on the idea, even though even a prospect of this building is still years away. Now, it would reportedly include plans to have the facility be unlocked, and this could include former incarcerated drug users. So a lot of the people that I talked to tonight, they said that they wanted to have more information, but what they had gleaned early on sounded very negative to them. What they would like to see is to have that facility turned into something for people, seniors who need a place to stay, who are not able to care for themselves. It's a lovely community here in San Pedro, and they think that it could be potentially dangerous, and so they all collected in that room tonight, and they packed it. I would say there was over 150 people there to talk about what their concerns were. Coming back live, we're not far from that facility. We'll try to get a better shot for you at 9 o'clock to show it to you, but that's what the concerns were this evening. Ladies, back to you in the studio.
All right, Laura, we'll talk to you more at 9 o'clock. Thank you so much. Today marks the first Farm Workers Day in California. The holiday, previously celebrated as Cesar Chavez Day, was renamed following sexual abuse allegations against the labor leader. Fox 11's Nick Garcia reports on how Angelinos are observing.
A new name, but the same legacy is being celebrated on this first ever Farm Workers Day.
It was never about one man. It was never about one person. It was never one singular incident. It is about the resilience of the farm worker and their continued stories that are written this day.
Alexandra Macedo represents part of the Central Valley in the state assembly. She moved swiftly to rename Cesar Chavez Day after sexual abuse allegations surfaced nearly 2 weeks ago.
And when they sit down to eat tonight, everybody should thank a farm worker. They should do that every night, but particularly on Farm Workers Day, that these are the hardworking hands that help grow your food.
In Koreatown Tuesday, artist Robert Vargas hard at work on Farm Workers Day, painting a mural for UTLA educators as they inch closer to a strike. This week, he'll also begin a mural off Main and 4th in downtown in honor of Dolores Huerta.
It's going to be a just championing of good energy, positive energy, and painting someone who's done incredible things for our community.
Huerta co-founded the United Farm Workers alongside Chavez. She now says he sexually assaulted her twice.
She is a figurehead that we can all kind of rally behind in these times.
A renamed holiday in California, but with the same meaning as it has been for generations, honoring the hard work that puts food on the table. Nick Garcia, Fox 11 News.
We're inching closer to Election Day with the primary just 2 months away on June 2nd, one of the biggest races we're watching. The race for LA County Sheriff. Multiple contenders are looking to unseat incumbent Sheriff Robert Luna.
One of those challengers joins us now live, and this is LA County Sheriff candidate Sergeant Carla Carranza. Good to have you. Congratulations on your campaign.
Thank you for having me.
For people who are not familiar with you, you've been with the department for almost 21 years. What else do you want them to know about you?
I want them to know that I am here to represent all of LA County and all of Los Angeles. I come from a family of 6 children, the oldest, and I came from El Salvador. My mom migrated over here, and we came here when we were young at 6 years old. We lived in Lingwood, LA area. I'm a mother of 4 kids, and I'm very proud of that. I've always served our communities. I've always participated. I've been part of our youth program. I've been part of the Explore
We're
program.
showing your 4 children right now. In fact.
You have the entourage here.
Yeah. Yes, I have my own little village there, and I've always promised not only for my family, but also for my own family, the safety that I can do, and the best way that I can do that is being part of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
How do you decide to run for sheriff? It's a big office. The person who has the job now had been a police chief and a lot of credentials. How do you decide, I'm going to run for sheriff?
Well, one of the differences that I have for somebody that came from the outside is that I have worked the jails, I've worked the courts, and I've worked the streets. And it is a big organization. But like any big organization, what you need is the best team, good leaders. And you cannot do it by yourself. It's a whole, like you said, an entourage. So I have, like the same way as a family, a big family, that's how you are with the organization. You have to put the right people in the right places in order to run an efficient organization such as the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
What is your biggest concern with the Sheriff's Department now, and what would you do to overcome that concern?
What I would do is the structuring of it. We need to change the leadership right under the sheriff himself. You know, is the same leadership that we've had for the past, administrations, and it hasn't changed. And you see that they have been just self-promoting and moving up the ranks, and haven't had the opportunity for those, such as myself, that have great ideas and different perspectives, in order for us to get up there and make the changes that we need. That transparency and the things that our communities are so hoping and wanting. You've
worked under a number of different people to hold that job as sheriff. Yes. What do you think are the key thoughts that need to go forward if you were to become sheriff? You start out and you're going to do what?
Well, I will start off with, with first being the voice for victims. My family has been a victim of crime, especially for my little brother, who passed away over 17 years ago. He was only 19 years old, and he was a victim of crime from gang. And
he was shot to death.
Yes, he was shot twice in the heart and once in the shoulder. He also had asthma, so he bled to death during he had an asthma attack. Oh, so it was a horrendous death, and that's something that we have to live with, and we cannot get over it. And it sometimes makes me
emotional.
Emotional,
of course. We're so sorry.
But we have to be strong and be there for our communities, and I want to be that voice for many families, because our victims have rights. They are first, and the families as well, because they carry this. And as you can see, there's still crime out there that are still victimizing people, and we have to build strong, safe communities for our children, and I want that even for my grandchildren. not yet though.
Yeah, not quite yet, kids. What's it like? It takes a lot of courage to run for LA County Sheriff, but then to do so and run up against your boss. What is that like for you, and have you had any interaction with him?
You know what? They're titles, and the thing is, what you need to think about is, can I do this job effectively? And I think it doesn't matter where you're at in the organization, is the experience that you first have with the community and the connection you have. Titles can be given at any point, and the thing is the experience. If we look at side by side our experience, I probably have a little bit more. He just has the title of it. And the thing is that I don't have anything against Sheriff Luna, and we have been face to face, and it's not something that is personal. It's something that I've always wanted to do. It's a personal goal that I have, that I want a safer community, and that I want to have that opportunity to give it to Los Angeles County. I want that same peace of mind that I want to give to families everywhere.
Take us back in time as we look at your family one more time, and how nice that they came to support you. I'm wondering how you decided to go, hey family, how you decided to go into law enforcement in the first place.
Well, I was a young mother at the time, and when I applied, I was pregnant with my second one. So I was married at the time, and going to college and just finished, and I thought of going into a career that gave me the opportunity to help people and be part of the justice system as well. And I wanted to do that while I can oversee my children and grow in a community that is also provided and patrolled by Los Angeles County Sheriffs, and I wanted to be part of that, something bigger. So that's what got me to become a deputy sheriff, and now I'm a sergeant, but I could have been something more. But there's obstacles that I have to be faced.
Well, you still could be something more. What was the #1 reason why you decided to run?
The #1 reason I wanted to run is because I want to be a voice for victims. I want to create safer communities, and I want to be that leader that speaks up for them no matter what and stands up for them. They have a voice, and even for those that are not here, their families will have a voice with me.
All right, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate your time. If you'd like to learn more about Sergeant Carranza or any of the other candidates, just head to foxla.com or download our free Fox Local app.
Thank you again for being here and bringing your family.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, coming up, we are checking in with Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. We've got rain on radar. Yes, it is light. We've seen a few hundredths of an inch here and there, but this continues through the rest of this evening. Wraps up tomorrow, but cool temperatures hang around for a little bit. We'll get to that, then also a flip in our weather at the end of the week with Santa Ana winds. Lots to talk about. That's in my forecast just ahead.
We honor women's history. We profile a living piece of music history.
Claudette Robinson helped shape the sound that changed America as a founding member of the legendary group The Miracles. Fox 11's Bob DeCastro sat down with the woman known as the First Lady of Motown.
Nice to finally meet you.
I feel like I've met you 1,000 times.
Because when I see people on TV, I've met them.
Oh, well, I've listened to all of your music more than 1,000 times, so I feel like I know you in so many ways.
I thank you for that.
Long before Motown became a cultural force, 87-year-old Claudette Robinson was there at the very beginning. Born in New Orleans and raised in Detroit, she once thought she'd become a teacher. Instead, she became part of a group that would help define modern music. The legendary Berry Gordy discovered the Miracles in 1957 after he watched the group fail in audition.
I guess he thought that that would be a great official title to call me the First Lady of Motown, since I was a lady and I was the first. I was very honored to have been in the beginning of what started Motown Records.
But being the only woman in that space came with challenges.
I'm not going to tell you that it was easy. Going on the road with all guys and all the other people on the road, all guys, you know, it was men.
Still, Robinson says she found her strength in kindness and collaboration.
There were many challenges. Everyone thought I should be the lead singer, not in the background. But I have always thought the greatest blend is harmony. And if you can blend with others, it's the greatest gift you can have.
The team-first mindset helped define the Miracles' signature sound and her role as a mentor to other women.
I think I have a great relationship with all the women who've come across, because being their very first female, you know, they wanted to know, what do you wear, how do you act? And I gave them my best advice, and I wanted to help them because I felt like they were all like my sisters. You know, I never had a sister, so.
Today, she says she's proud to see how far women in the industry have come.
Probably they don't know, but I listen to all of them. And I'm really happy and excited, you know, to see them making their advances and a grateful mark in show business. You know, because women have always been around. It's not that they weren't around, they just weren't recognized in the same way.
Now she's passing that history on in a new way with her children's book, Claudette's Miraculous Motown Adventure. And her message to the next generation is simple and powerful.
You have to respect yourself so that others can respect you.
From harmony on stage to harmony in life, Claudette Robinson's voice still resonates.
And that was Bob DeCastro reporting.
You can find Claudette's Miraculous Motown Adventure anywhere where books are sold. How cool is that? You've got a little one. You could read it to her.
I could, and I should, and I will.
All right, about the weather. Yes, I am loving this cooler weather, because I know we're not going to have it next or this weekend, right?
That's actually that's what makes it nice. It's cooler. We get a little rain, and then it's gone the next day, and the sun is out, and it's
so we cleared the air.
Yeah, a little bit of a rinse off, and so, you know, right now it's actually still raining, light rain in some spots. Again, it's going to be gone by the morning, though, and we'll actually turn right back around to some heat by the weekend. I'll talk about that in a moment. But this is interesting as we look at the whole month now, as we've marked every single day. Today's high of 70. You see that blue box? It's the only cooler than normal high temperature out of the entire month. And I know you see, maybe you're asking yourself, well, I see a 70 here, for example, but on that day, the average high was 69. The average highs get a little bit warmer as you go deeper into the season, of course. And so today's average high is 71. We didn't get there. It was the only cooler than normal high temperature for the entire month. We almost went the whole month with every day being warmer than normal. And of course, the reason for the cool down, lots of cloud cover today. You saw that. Some light rain passing through. This low is moving through as well. That helps to bring those temperatures down. And we're going to find the wind cranking up in some spots where we have wind advisories, especially parts of the mountains and desert. We'll show you that in a moment. Right now on radar, and I talked about this earlier, it's just a lot of green, which means light rain. And where the green's a little bit darker, that's where it's a little more substantial than the lighter green areas. That's where it's more like a drizzle or some sprinkles. So again, we've got this little bit of a slight rinse coming through. Notice there is one spot here over some of the mountains where there's some yellow, indicating it's maybe more of a moderate shower. That's about as bad or as heavy as it's going to get out of all this, but fairly widespread light rain coming through. Many spots measuring less than 1/10 of an inch out of this. So it's not like we're getting a lot in terms of the quantity of rain, but measurable rain for the first time since February 19th. That's what makes this such a big deal. It's not that it's that much rain, but it's the fact that we're even getting something when it's been so dry lately. And our rainy season basically goes from November to April. So it's kind of bizarre to go all this time from late February through almost all of March without any rain. course, we're finally getting it right now. Again, we've got these wind advisories also with the strong onshore wind, so winds blowing from the ocean to the land, and so the winds are from the west through these areas, sustained 25 to 35, gusts up to 55. Those wind advisories in effect through Thursday evening. It's not going to be that windy in many other spots, but still that onshore breeze will continue, which helps keep the temperatures a little bit on the cool side. Futurecast going from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. shows more of this scattered rain coming through, so we're not done with it for at least a few more hours. But after about 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., it is pretty much out of here. Notice 4 o'clock in the morning, our model shows the rain gone. We continue a little later into the morning and maybe just some clouds scattered around the area in the morning. But rain, it pretty much wraps up after today. Temperatures for highs tomorrow, so it's going to be pretty similar to today, which means many areas fall somewhere in the upper 60s to low 70s. Of course, our warm spot, the outlier, will be in the Coachella Valley, Palm Springs at 82, Big Bear 51 for the high. But pretty much everywhere in view right here, upper 60s to low 70s will be common. As we go later into the week, we're going to find the onshore wind that we have through Thursday switching to an offshore wind or Santa Ana wind Friday and into Saturday. And in some spots, those winds could be gusty. There might be some wind advisories coming for the typical Santa Ana wind prone areas Friday and Saturday. What that does is, of course, dry us out and warm us up. So you see the highs going in the 80s for inland areas this weekend, but also even near the coast, we'll probably find some highs above 80 degrees on Saturday. And that's because when we get that offshore Santa Ana wind, the warm air makes it all the way to the edge of the ocean. The ocean basically has no effect on the land when the winds are blown from the land to ocean. So we still could get over 80 at the coast on Saturday after a couple of cool days coming up. And your valleys and IE, again, kind of relatively cool over the next few days, warming Friday with those 80s showing up by the weekend. Back over to you.
We still have more news ahead at 8.
But first, here is a preview of what's coming up at 9. A vigil held tonight for 2 people killed in a violent crash in Anaheim. The 2 killed, a 14-year-old boy and a 7-year-old man. Plus, Beverly Hills police unveiled their latest tool in the crime-solving kit. We'll tell you all about the new drone in a box program that's ahead at 9. NASA is set to make history tomorrow with the first launch toward the moon in over 50 years.
Weather forecasters are calling for an 80% chance of sunny skies, so the launch from Florida's Kennedy Space Center looks like it's a go. The mission will send 4 astronauts beyond Earth's orbit to circle the moon and test the spacecraft's ability in deep space. Look at their pattern there. The launch at 3:24 Pacific time tomorrow will serve as a test flight to the next moon landing, hopefully one day going to Mars.
We've had some challenges. The team has done an outstanding job managing each and every one of those throughout all of this, through many different scenarios, through weather, through lots of different things that we've had to work through to try to get through all of this and get to where we are today. People are excited and ready to go on this first chapter on our way back to the moon.
The Artemis II crew will have a guest on board. The plush toy named Rise is a zero-gravity indicator. A second grader from San Francisco came up with the winning design.
That's pretty adorable.
That's pretty cool,
yes,
right?
Very cool. We're planning to stream that on the Fox Local app and on Fox 11 as well. So both on linear TV, as we say in the business, and then also on the stream.
And it's very exciting. Victor Glover, who's on board, kind of from here in SoCal.
From Ontario.
Yeah, which is a little pride there, right?
Oh, a whole lot of pride.
Don't go anywhere. We are not done yet.
No, LA Live News Tonight continues at 9 o'clock. Right after the break, we'll see you there.
across SoCal. This is LA Live News Tonight on Fox 11 Plus.
Now at 9, a family prepares to face their son's killer in court after a deadly dating app ambush. Plus, a stabbing investigation is underway in downtown LA after a woman was attacked by a stranger.
And in Van Nuys tonight, copper wire thieves strike again. This time, it's all caught on camera.
Plus, we're live from the coast to the inland valleys. Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger with a preview. What's on the horizon?
We've got widespread light rain moving through right now. More of this to come as we go through the night. It shuts off tomorrow, but those temperatures stay cool for another couple of days.
All right, Adam, thank you so much. And thank you so much for being with us. You're watching LA Live News Tonight. I'm Marla Tejas. We begin with this, a violent attack in downtown LA. A woman hospitalized after being stabbed. It happened near Olympic Boulevard and Hope Street. The question now is what actually led to the violence. Let's go live to Fox 11's Ed Lascos. He's there in downtown LA with more. Ed?
Now, Marla, investigators telling us it's a random attack. IDing the attacker as a homeless man, and a lot of the neighbors here say they're not surprised about that. In fact, one of the neighbors saying at night this area turns into, as she put it, zombie land because of the threat coming from all the homeless. Joe, take us right into the story, will you? Here's the neighborhood we're talking about. This is Hope, runs along here for a few blocks. Across here is Olympic, just a few blocks away from Crypto.com Arena. Lakers playing there tonight. And the attack happens here on Hope, right across from Grand Hope Park. Very busy area. Surprising it happens in broad daylight, and again, a random surprise attack. Watch. Olympic and Hope in the very heart of downtown with its apartments and its condos, and now its latest violence. LAPD IDs the attacker as a homeless man.
It is very dangerous, honestly. It's like zombie land at night. Sometimes it's evenings by Whole Foods or by Ralph's because so many homeless people here. It is really dangerous.
Zombie land at night, she says, and it doesn't seem any safer during the day, especially after what happened here. A woman stabbed in the neck as she's walking down the sidewalk. Security cameras show the woman passing that homeless man who LAPD says turns around, pulls out a knife and stabs the woman from behind. A surprise attack, but not to some who live here.
I seen homeless people holding knives. And I was like, oh my God, it's so dangerous because I moved here only a few months ago and I'm going to move out from here because I don't like it at all.
This video from the Citizens app shortly after the attack.
Yeah, they got stabbed in the neck. That's what they're saying.
The woman rushed to the ER. A bypasser applies pressure to the wound. That's being credited with keeping the woman alive. That homeless man, he runs off. He's later arrested. For many here, though, it's just the latest street violence.
I had a guy try to mug me. I was carrying like film equipment down in my car really early in the morning one time. Got to be aware.
You're just keeping your eyes open, huh?
Yep.
Keeping your eyes open, he says, especially at night, especially walking through this neighborhood. So many of the folks who live here, the neighbors telling me exactly the same. Even one lady who did not want to go on camera, she said it was so bad, in her words, to quote her, third world country. I said, that's a bit harsh, don't you think? And she said, well, you don't live right in this area. So that's what the folks are saying here as we come back out. Talk about the woman who is stabbed, listed as critical right now, out of emergency surgery, but really LAPD crediting that the lady who was walking by saw what happened, had medical experience. Marla knew exactly what to do, rushed over, applied pressure to the wound, and LAPD saying that's probably what kept this victim alive until they could get her to the ER. And the homeless man, he was arrested a short time later, a short distance away. Police say a few blocks in that direction, going off to the east. They had good security video, showed him almost in the action doing the crime, and so they said they were able to have a good visual on him and they made the arrest. But just a horrible situation here, especially when you think about it any time really, but in broad daylight it goes down in this busy neighborhood.
Ed, do we know anything about the suspect who's now in custody? Does he have a history with authorities? Has this happened before? Not necessarily a stabbing, but...
Right. You know, that's uncertain, Marla, but it's a good question and it's a good point because just reading about how LAPD does their work, any law enforcement, they knew where this man was. You know, they had the good visual, according to one of the officers who was talking to us from those security cameras, but yet they were able to find him very quickly. So it makes you think, if you connect the dots, that they kind of knew about this guy, that he perhaps most likely was on their radar.
And it's also important to point out that you and photojournalist Joe Prince, you have your own security team.
Yeah, we do. One's over there, one's over here. As a matter of fact, they helped us out earlier, Marla, because we had some homeless folks coming by. A couple of them a bit aggressive, thank goodness. Thank God these guys were here to help us. Joe, give you a look around. I'm just looking right now. You know, it's a bit quiet now as we look because it's been raining here the last half hour or so. It started to rain. So we haven't had a lot of the, well, as the one nice lady said, the zombies. You know, and talking to her was sad because she said she's planning on moving. She's so frightened here. She has a young baby, and she said she doesn't want to walk. She said, I don't want to live here. It's too frightening. So she's planning to leave. I mean, that's how sad it is. She said she had high hopes moving here about 6 months ago, and now the reality has changed.
Wow, that speaks volumes. All right, Ed Laskos and Joe Prince behind the camera. Thank you so much. Tonight, a local family is preparing to face their loved one's killer in court tomorrow. The young man murdered back in 2021, blindsided by a group of gang members on a dating app. Fox 11's Haley Winslow spoke exclusively with the family.
8-year-old male in one of the walkways.
A nightmare this family has relived every day for nearly 5 years, watching the moment their world shattered again and again.
It takes me right back to July 19th.
Summer 2021. 4 a.m. and 25-year-old Jonathan Granderson, known to his family as Duga, believed he was meeting someone on the dating app Grindr.
I think he would say he would regret going on those apps.
Instead, his family says he was ambushed, robbed, knocked to his knees, and shot while he was down. He and his sister, inseparable.
I knew he was dead when I woke up, but I just didn't tell nobody. I knew because I felt it.
A family who took heart in making each other laugh, now shrouded in silence.
I was literally out of my mind for almost 4 years, you know, and it woke up a lot of sickness that I didn't have. Now I'm trying to be an advocate and get out and help other mothers that's going through the same thing that I went through.
Sounds of joy replaced with a shrine of his ashes and pictures in the living room. Classic. Anger and hurt still raw as they prepare to face his killer in court for the final time.
This is like a victory lap for me, so it's like I'm over, like crying. He's gonna have to deal with that for the rest of his life, every single day.
Forever in their hearts, but hearts that will never heal, no matter how much time passes without their Duga.
People are heartless, they're ruthless, and they're cruel. If no one wants to see you at daytime, they don't need to see you at nighttime.
Investigators say this was the fourth person these gang members robbed that night, met all of the victims on Grindr. The only person they killed, but the other two people have been testifying in court. The third person, a transgender woman, had her face stomped on and was so terrified by all this, she moved out of state. Now the gunman, convicted of first-degree murder, faces life in prison. Reporting in Long Beach, I'm Haley Winslow, Fox 11 News.
A solemn vigil is underway tonight in Anaheim for the victims of a devastating multi-car crash. Police say the chase and the chaos began this morning when a silver Infiniti driving erratically with no lights ran a red light and slammed into 3 other vehicles. A passenger in that car and the driver of a Toyota Camry were killed instantly. 2 teenage girls remain in critical condition. Officers had spotted the suspect vehicle earlier but did not engage in a pursuit before the collision. City Council member Nithya Raman takes a surprise lead over Mayor Karen Bass in a new LMU mayoral poll. Raman holds 33% compared to Bass at 17%. Unlike other surveys, this poll provided voters with brief descriptions of each candidate's priorities. The Bass campaign is dismissing the results, pointing to previous polls that still show the mayor in first place. Live look, we're cruising along with Sky Fox over the San Fernando Valley, and you see the rain. Yep, it's raining out, and we had proof in Ed Laskos shot in downtown LA. He said it's been raining down there. Adam, yep. Sorry, I have so many names in my head right now.
It's all good.
Adam,
if you're ever in doubt, just go alphabetical order, and you'll be right, because I'm start with
Sorry.
A. So.
I had so many thoughts all at once that everything just collided like that.
That's my entire day, Marla. I completely relate to that.
Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger, it's raining, bottom line.
It is, yes. And I was watching the live helicopter feed in my weather center here as well. I can attest that the roads are wet because I was watching a live arrest in traffic, and you could see that the roads were wet in the middle of all that as well. We have these showers moving through at the moment. So, here we went over a month with just completely dry weather. Suddenly today and tonight, we've got these scattered light showers coming through. It's It's not heavy at all. It's not high impact rain, but it is nuisance showers out there at the moment. Many roads are wet. And keep in mind, when the roads go like a month or longer without any rain on them, there's a lot of stuff and oil and carved junk that kind of builds up on them. So they can be a little extra slick in the first rain event you get after a long dry stretch. So keep that in mind if you're still going out later tonight. On radar, again, there's just widespread light rain. And if we come in a little closer near Big Bear, you can see that the rain intensity is just recently picking up a little bit. I would call this maybe some moderate to borderline heavy showers right here, but we're not expecting any flood problems or anything like that. As far as the rest of the night, we've got a few more hours of this to go before it wraps up for the foreseeable future. Here we go into about 1 a.m. You can see this batch of rain continuing to work its way eastward, hovering over, let's just say, our eastern areas at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and it keeps going away. And in the middle of the night into the early morning hours tomorrow, the rain is out of here. So tomorrow is going to be a dry day, but temperature-wise, like today, it is going to be cooler. Now, I think we'll get some clearing in the clouds tomorrow, but still, notice the temperatures tomorrow topping out upper 60s to maybe low 70s at the warmest. We have another day of this cool-ish weather, and then actually a significant temperature turnaround as the winds turn around later this week. Santa Ana winds bringing the 80s back into our forecast. We'll get to that a little later. Marla?
All right, Adam, thank you for remembering my name. New tonight, why are thieves going after the wires that keep your lights on? Police say copper thefts are hitting critical infrastructure. The damage can shut off power and cost thousands. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf, he shows us how this is hitting certain neighborhoods. And Matthew, you also have video of a theft that was actually caught on camera.
Yeah, this is a pretty common sight, unfortunately. We always hear about it impacting streetlights. This time, it's actually internet cables, and as you said, all caught on camera. Copper wire crooks strike again. This time around 3 a.m. in Van Nuys, one man wearing a hoodie, the other shirtless with a medical mask, surgically removing wires.
I woke up to a big clink. It was loud, and then I was like, hold on, people have been stealing copper because I walk these streets.
Candace Cervantes heard the action and started recording. Her video shows the shirtless suspect pulling internet cables from underground while his partner stands watch near the getaway car.
And then he even took a long black cable, tied it to his car, and they were trying to really take out as much as they could.
So you did call 911?
I did, and they didn't come. It took them over an hour.
This section of Van Nuys plagued by thieves targeting copper wire also above ground. Block after block, ripped lines connecting to streetlights left in the dark. The thieves didn't seem worried about getting caught?
Oh, no. Not at all.
This problem's so rampant right now, AT&T has crews from Northern California here trying to restore service. Is this where they were stealing the cable?
Yeah.
Is that happening a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Across LA, the numbers are staggering. Roughly 32,000 streetlight repair requests now active, mostly tied to copper theft. Mayor Karen Bass last week approved plans to replace those lights with solar ones.
What's the point of stealing that?
To make money, so they go and sell it, but it gets you guys without streetlights and Wi-Fi.
Oh, I'm so angry.
While major portions of the neighborhood are now dark and without internet.
I've never seen down here.
Yeah, so it took about 50 minutes for that whole process to take place, and then about an hour for police to arrive. So far, no arrests have been made. If you know anything, call police. We're live in Van Nuys. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
And in the meantime, the lights are out. There's no Wi-Fi for the neighborhood. How long will that last?
That's the great question, because there are some parts of the city that have been waiting the better part of 2 years to have their streetlights fixed. Obviously, internet and Wi-Fi, that is through AT&T or Spectrum, so that's kind of on their timeline, which could take a few weeks in some cases. So, yeah, they're going to be waiting for a little while.
And, I understand the initiative of Bass and the solar light campaign that you highlighted, but what about the actual thieves themselves?
There hasn't really been as much emphasis placed on going after the actual crooks. Now, there used to be a heavy metal task force that was designed to target them specifically, but in the last year or so, it actually kind of got dismantled. Some people retired and whatnot. So those officers still have that training, but instead they're focused on other tasks.
Yeah, I remember you highlighted that. I believe it was when you were talking about the copper wire thefts linked to the 6th Street Bridge and the lights that were out there because of that, and you went for the ride along. You can always find more of his really important reporting on social media. Follow him along on Instagram and then also on the Fox Local app. Matthew Seedorf, thanks as always. Great work. Up next, President Trump signs a controversial order cracking down on mail-in voting, prompting a legal challenge from local lawmakers and a major legal win for public broadcasting as a judge blocks Trump administration funding cuts. Plus, Tiger Woods stepping away from golf to seek treatment following a DUI arrest. President Trump signs an executive order cracking down on mail-in voting. The order requires federal agencies to compile a nationwide list of people who meet certain requirements for voter eligibility. The president's order directs the U.S. Postal Service to take control of mail-in balloting. This order enforces his long-held but unsubstantiated claim that mail-in ballots are a source of widespread fraud in the U.S. in U.S. elections. California leaders, including Attorney General Rob Bonta, are vowing to fight it. A federal judge halts construction on President Trump's $400 million White House ballroom. The judge ruled it needs congressional approval first. However, the East Wing has already been demolished. Preservationists then sued, arguing the project bypassed required reviews. The judge said the president is a steward of the White House, not its owner. The administration is expected to appeal. A major legal victory for NPR and PBS. Today, a federal judge blocked a key part of a Trump administration executive order, ruling it unconstitutional to deny funding based on editorial viewpoints. While Congress rescinded support last year, this decision opens the door for public stations to regain federal grants after recent program cuts and layoffs.
Weather is sponsored by American Career College.
Live look at LAX there, and it's a little damp outside. I'm not mad at it. Is that what the kids say these days? Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger.
It's giving Wetness out there. Yeah, that's another thing they would say. Yeah, I mean, so we have light rain. It's covering a lot of the area right now. It's going to last through the night and then wraps up before the sun is up. And, you know, we're back to sunshine by tomorrow afternoon. Temps will continue a little bit on the cool side. And, you know, we're due for this. I know this isn't amounting to a whole lot of rain. It's mostly less than 1/10 of an inch for most spots. But last time we had measurable rain in L.A. was February 19th. This is still technically our rainy season. November to April would be considered our rainy season. So to go all of March until today without any rain, kind of a little strange. So we were due and we got something. Again, that light rain, though, it will end overnight. We've got a cool-ish couple of days. I'm calling it that because it wouldn't be right to call it cool because it's cooling to around average for this time of year. It's just relative to what we've seen for this entire month. It's feeling much cooler. So cool-ish couple of days coming up here. And then at the end of the week, we've got a warm-up as Santa Ana winds pick up, and those might be a little bit on the strong side in some spots. But here's a look at radar as we start right here. So the green is showing where there's just light showers passing through. It's covering a lot of the area. Notice there's a little break right here, and then there's another wave. So that last wave probably comes through a little bit, or let's say midnight, 1 a.m., somewhere in that range. And then after that, this rain should be pretty much gone. There's a closer view. Again, just a lot of light showers and some drizzle passing on through right now. Also, the system that's causing this rain is cranking up the onshore winds, meaning winds blowing from the ocean. W means winds from the west to east. So in these areas, colored in brown, that's a wind advisory through the end of Thursday. Here's another way to look at that as our model is projecting over some of the mountains and deserts where we have these purple colors. That's where the winds are especially strong. Notice it's showing gusts maybe 50 plus around Big Bear tonight. As we go into tomorrow, still have the onshore breeze, but the red and purple areas is where the winds will be strongest. Again, where we have the wind advisories. And then Thursday, it's kind of the exact same thing. Strongest winds through here, just kind of an onshore breeze for most other spots. And then look at the winds completely change direction on Friday. So now we're going to find those typical Santa Ana wind-prone corridors, usually these 3 spots right here. If you think about the 5, the 10, the 15, where they kind of cut through the mountains, those are our usual Santa Ana wind corridors. So those winds crank up a little bit. Looking at the broader pattern, so we've got this low currently giving us some rain, another one behind it, keeping kind of cool temperatures around through Thursday. Those move out, high pressure comes in, which is a warm air mass, but also the winds going like this around the high gives us that offshore or Santa Ana wind on Friday and Saturday. All right, we'll end it with the temperatures. Looking at the highs tomorrow, a lot like what we saw today, which means most spots upper 60s to some low 70s at the warmest tomorrow. Switching it to Thursday, kind of the same story. Upper 60s, you go inland, maybe some low or at warmest mid 70s, but you'll notice the more drastic warm up starting Friday with 70s near the coast, 80s inland, and then this weekend gets even warmer with more widespread 80s and probably even some 80s along the coast this weekend because of those Santa Ana winds. Marla?
All right, Adam, thank you. Coming up, Army pilots cleared after hovering over Kid Rock's home in a controversial flyover. New at 9, Iraq's Interior Ministry says an American journalist has been kidnapped in Baghdad. The reporter has been identified as freelance journalist Shelley Kittleson. Officials say 2 cars were involved in the kidnapping. One crashed, and Kittleson was transferred to a second car that got away. Now, the ministry says it has sent out an operation to track down the kidnappers. It's not clear who carried it out, but Iran-backed militias have been known to be responsible for kidnappings in Iraq. Golf icon Tiger Woods announcing he is stepping away from the game to seek treatment following a DUI arrest in Florida. Woods pleaded not guilty today after deputies found him impaired and in possession of prescription painkillers following a single-car crash. The 50-year-old will miss the Masters for the 2nd straight year, stating he needs to prioritize his well-being and work toward a lasting recovery. Tiger Woods says he will seek treatment. And we'll continue to watch that story. How about this? The Army pilots who hovered 2 helicopters near singer Kid Rock's home will not be punished. What a visual this is. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says there will be no discipline and no investigation. The crews were temporarily suspended from flying duties after the stunt. Kid Rock posted the video of the helicopters hovering by his pool. He says military flyovers near his home are not unusual. The pilots are with the 101st Airborne based at Fort Campbell in Kentucky.
I'm Laura Diaz in San Pedro. A packed meeting, what neighbors had to say about a potential drug rehab center in their backyard. That story coming up.
Plus, California celebrates its first ever Farm Workers Day after renaming the state holiday.
live across SoCal. This is LA Live News Tonight on Fox 11 Plus.
Well, new tonight, a controversial housing proposal has residents in San Pedro on edge. A rehab facility could be coming to a neighborhood, and tonight critics are sounding the alarm. Let's go live to Fox 11's Laura Diaz. She's live there in San Pedro where neighbors are speaking out tonight. Laura?
Yes, Marley, it's a classic not in my backyard. It was really packed at this meeting tonight, and people didn't hold back about what their feelings were.
There's a concern that there's going to be too many, and there's a deep concern of being brought in through probation or through other ways and means of law enforcement.
There's justice involved, which means that people who get out on probation or not even probation, just get out early releases, can stay in these places. And you don't know what they bring, what kind of baggage they bring.
It is the great unknown. Now, this was the scene at the San Pedro Elks Lodge this evening. Speaker after speaker worried about what will become of a building on Southwestern Avenue. There's a plan to turn it into a 400-bed drug and rehab center. Testimony was very negative on the idea, even though potentially this is still years away. This was the very first meeting held, and a lot of people showed up to voice their displeasure. I did try to reach out to the other side, Marla, didn't have any luck getting to talk to anybody from that side, but these are mostly homeowners who live in the area. They say it's nice and quiet, peaceful. They never have a problem, they say, with any kind of crime, and they felt that to introduce this facility into their neighborhood would bring trouble that they simply didn't want. They were hoping that perhaps the building could be turned into some kind of a center for seniors who they thought would fit nicely into the community. That's the latest here in San Pedro, sending it back to the studio. Marla?
Okay, so just to hit home that point, most everyone you talked to tonight was against the project. There was no one who showed up tonight and said, hey, I don't mind this at all.
I didn't hear from anybody who expressed that point of view. But again, I was trying to reach out to the other side to hear what they had to say about why they thought this was a good idea. I'm sure that they think that they have certain rules implemented that would keep the neighborhood safe. Now, a lot of concern was that they thought potentially people could be getting out of incarceration who would be newly coming back into society, maybe still struggling with their sobriety. That would be a question I would certainly want to talk to the people who are proposing the idea, but I didn't have that opportunity tonight. So, Marla, I feel somewhat at a disadvantage not to be able to speak to them, but unfortunately, this is what I was able to glean tonight.
Hey, you did your job. You did it well. All right, Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today marks the first Farm Workers Day in California. The holiday previously celebrated as Cesar Chavez Day was renamed following sexual abuse allegations against the labor leader. Fox 11's Nick Garcia reports on how Angelenos observed the day.
A new name, but the same legacy is being celebrated on this first ever Farm Workers Day.
It was never about one man. It was never about one person. It was never one singular incident. It is about the resilience of the farm worker and their continued stories that are written this day.
Alexandra Macedo represents part of the Central Valley in the state assembly. She moved swiftly to rename Cesar Chavez Day after sexual abuse allegations surfaced nearly 2 weeks ago.
And when they sit down to eat tonight, everybody should thank a farm worker. They should do that every night, but particularly on Farm Workers Day, that these are the hardworking hands that help grow your food.
In Koreatown Tuesday, artist Robert Vargas hard at work on Farm Workers Day, painting a mural for UTLA educators as they inch closer to a strike. This week, he'll also begin a mural off Main and 4th in downtown in honor of Dolores Huerta.
It's going to be a just championing of good energy, positive energy, and painting someone who's done incredible things for our community.
Huerta co-founded the United Farm Workers alongside Chavez. She now says he sexually assaulted her twice.
She is a figurehead that we can all kind of rally behind in these times.
A renamed holiday in California, but with the same meaning as it has been for generations, honoring the hard work that puts food on the table. Nick Garcia, Fox 11 News.
Well, big changes are coming to CalFresh benefits as of tomorrow. Los Angeles County officials say new federal rules will make some non-citizens, like certain refugees and asylum seekers, ineligible for food assistance. Current recipients can keep benefits until their renewal if they still qualify. Officials urge recipients to update contact info and watch for notices. Well, the war with Iran is causing pain at the pump. Gas prices are jumping fast across the country, and we sure have seen it right here. Fox's Caroline Shively shows us how this global conflict is driving prices up here at home.
The war in Iran may be 6,000 miles away, but the effects are being felt at gas pumps across the U.S., with the price jumping by about $1 a gallon from a month ago.
We got to fill up now because, tomorrow is going to be more expensive.
The national average for a gallon of gas is now above $4, and in states like California and Washington State, well over $5. Some local areas are paying even more.
I just paid $6.19 per gallon today. Recently, gas prices were $4 something, so that's a massive increase for us. Everybody's feeling it.
The price for diesel is $5.43 a gallon, a record-breaking 45% increase over last month.
It's going to mean more expensive bills for truckers, tractors, and trains that move the U.S. economy with diesel fuel. It's going to mean consumers are likely greeted by rising grocery prices.
So far, the U.S. military has avoided hitting Iran's oil infrastructure, but President Trump is threatening to go after Karg Island, Iran's main export terminal.
President Trump will make a deal he is willing, and the terms of the deal are known to them. If Iran is not willing, then the United States War Department will continue with even more intensity.
The last time gas was this expensive was in 2022, months after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, when prices topped $5 a gallon. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Well, tomorrow marks 60 days since Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother was last seen in Arizona. To mark the grim milestone, our affiliate in Phoenix, Fox 10, is airing an investigative special called Gone in the Night, the search for Nancy Guthrie.
Our latest interview, Sheriff Nanos pushed back, refuting rumors that he delayed federal involvement or chose the wrong lab to process evidence.
They were never not a part of this investigation. They were always a part of it.
Now, the special with investigative reporter Justin Lum, who you saw there, delves into the past 2 months, including the criticism surrounding the Pima County Sheriff, the lack of suspects, and the evolving theories about what really happened. Today, I spoke to Lum. What do you know about these working theories?
Yeah, I think the one that has stayed in focus is the alleged abduction of Nancy Guthrie, and we point back to the blood spots on this patio. Based on the blood spots that our own crew went up and shot, it looks like expirated blood, meaning it was coughed up or it came from a nosebleed. And that is really huge evidence because it's confirmed to belong to Nancy. We know about the DNA mixtures, but is there any DNA profile from a suspect?
Gone in the Night, the search for Nancy Guthrie streams tomorrow night at 5 p.m. on the Fox local app. You can also find it on the Fox 10 YouTube page. Up next, investigators are searching for answers after a man was found dead inside an Azusa patrol car. We take a closer look at that timeline. And Beverly Hills police are deploying a new drone-in-a-box technology to respond to 911 calls in seconds.
Axel Foley's like, where was that when I needed it back in the day? Radar right now showing plenty of light rain passing through our area right now. We've got that for another couple of hours. It should shut off by the time you're waking up tomorrow morning. But these coolish temperatures going to hang around for a few more days. I'll have that in my forecast coming up.
New questions tonight in Azusa after a man was found dead in the back of a patrol car. He had just been released from jail but wasn't discovered until days later. Fox 11's Gigi Graciette has a timeline of events and details we brought you first on Fox 11.
Last thing you had a drink? In the morning. In the morning?
Yeah.
What time?
Like I said, like 10 o'clock.
Huh?
Like 10 o'clock in the morning.
It is the video first seen on Fox 11. Body-worn camera footage from the Azusa Police Department the night Eric Valencia was pulled over by patrol officers who say they saw him driving with his lights off, something he was heard admitting to later in a jailhouse interview.
We're already almost home.
Right.
I just forgot to turn the lights on.
It was Friday, March 20th at 9 p.m. when the Azusa officers pulled him over. Inside Valencia's car, his 2 children, ages 3 and 11. But officers say that while speaking to Valencia, they could smell alcohol and suspected he was under the influence, something they are heard saying repeatedly as they speak to him.
I saw you driving down the street, no lights on. I believe you're intoxicated.
As the children sat in the car, the officers gave Valencia at least 2 pass tests. That stands for preliminary alcohol screening.
Those were probably about a little over twice the legal limit of 0.2 and 0.18.
Police noted Valencia's driver's license was expired, and he had no proof of registration or insurance in the car.
Okay, what's the car registered to?
To be honest with you, I don't even know. My dad just bought the car.
The most important issue, though, say police, is that they believe he was driving under the influence with his 2 small children, and that's why they arrested him on suspicion of DUI and child endangerment. His children later turned over to a family member. Valencia heard denying that he was under the influence, but when told he would have to give a blood sample at the station, he replied,
Oh, yeah. My blood's gonna come out with alcohol. Yeah, I'm alcoholic. I was supposed to be in detox, but I haven't been able to go because
the exchange between the officers and Valencia is professional, almost amicable at times. Here, the arresting officer once again explains why he's being arrested.
Yeah, so I believe that you're under influence of alcohol. I can also smell off you coming off.
That's what I'm bringing.
Yeah.
Valencia spent the weekend in jail and was released on Monday. The police department saying charges were pending the results of a toxicology test on a blood sample taken in jail. Valencia never made it home, though, and his worried family filed a missing persons report.
We're calling other places, hospitals, other stations, everywhere.
A surveillance camera on the Azusa Police Department's building would later show Valencia leaving at about 12:30 Monday afternoon. It's what he did next that no one understands.
Once he's released, he's given a bag with his property, a bag with his lunch. He walks out. You see him look around for a little bit, looks at Paul 37, the unit, opens the door, which was unlocked, the rear door, and puts his property on top of the car. Gets in, reaches back up, grabs the property, takes it back in the car with him, waits a little bit, and then closes the door.
The SUV, the department admits, was mistakenly left unlocked. There were no weapons inside, though, they say. But once Valencia closed the door, he was locked inside. But police say he had his working cell phone on him, which he could have used to call for help. The phone was working.
Yes, and it was tested that morning. With a 911 call to the station, one to confirm the number and then one to confirm that the phone was working.
No one knew where Valencia was until Thursday morning when a civilian employee went to move the SUV and found his lifeless body in the back. Paramedics were called, but there was nothing they could do. Why he got into the car that day remains a mystery. His distraught family says,
"We want answers. We want answers. We just want to know what happened."
And that's our big question, and that's what we want to know. As long as we are able to provide the family some closure.
His family has now hired a team of lawyers, and the incident is the focus of 4 different investigations, says the department. The medical examiner will determine how Valencia died. They are also awaiting the result of forensic testing. The Azusa Police Department tells us they still have hours and hours of footage to go through. That will eventually be made available to all those who are investigating. One thing, though, they say they know is that the patrol car was never moved from the time that Valencia got into it on Monday afternoon to the time his body was discovered on Thursday. Meanwhile, his cell phone records are being subpoenaed to try and determine if he ever called anyone for help or maybe to tell them what he was doing. In Azusa, Gigi Graciette.
New at 9, Beverly Hills police are taking surveillance to the sky. The department is rolling out its new drone in a box program. The city's mayor says drones can get eyes on a scene in seconds. These eyes in the sky give officers critical information before they arrive. The system uses rooftop docking stations ready around the clock. Drones can launch within about 90 seconds of a 911 call. Pilots can control them remotely while units are still on the way. The drones stream live video to help guide officers on the ground. When the mission ends, the drone returns to its docks and recharges.
Our new drone in a box is a self-contained automated docking station strategically installed on rooftops for 24/7 readiness. These weatherproof units allow drone pilots to remotely deploy within seconds of a 911 call, providing an immediate eye in the sky while ground units are still in transit.
The chief says the goal is faster response and better awareness. They call the program a model other cities may follow. They say public safety remains the top priority around the clock. All right, we are sending things over to Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger. And yes, we were below average today as we end the month of March, and we welcome some rain.
Yeah, I mean, what a turnaround, right? I mean, it was this very warm, very dry month when normally in March it's one of our wetter months across the entire year. But yeah, 70 today for downtown. So of all days this month, this was the first and only day with a cooler than normal high temperature, cooler than normal by 1 degree, but still it counts. We've got this low moving through, which is producing the clouds, the light rain, the cooler temperatures, and also in some spots, some significant wind. That's actually going to be an interesting part of our forecast for the rest of this week. We'll look at that in a second, but let's come in a little closer. As you can see, we got rain statewide. We even have some snow coming down across the Sierra right now. There's Mammoth. They're getting some snow around there. You can see some of that heavier rain moving east of Sacramento right now, down towards our area, Santa Barbara to LA to near the low desert. Lots of light rain coming through. This batch right here is going to be the last little bit of it. So we've got a few more hours for this to work its way from west to east through our area. And by some point in the middle of the night, the rain will be gone. By the morning, it's definitely gone, and we can move on with our regularly scheduled nice weather for the rest of this week. But you can see on radar right now, again, where there's green, that's where the rain is mostly light. Notice these little pockets of dark green to yellow. That's where it's a little bit heavier, not what I would call heavy rain, but just a little bit heavier than light, like moderate rain, let's say that. So there's some instances of that going on right now as well. Also, we have a wind advisory in effect for these areas in this tan color. That's in effect through the end of Thursday. Winds out of the west, 25 to 35, with gusts up to 55 potentially. And then by Friday, the winds do a complete 180, and then it's more of an offshore Santa Ana wind, which could be strong in some spots, and that also boosts our temperatures at the end of the week. Watch as we go through the night, though. 10 o'clock to midnight, we see the rain continuing through from midnight to 2 a.m. It's maybe just barely hanging on in our far eastern areas, but then that is it. So, again, by the time you're waking up in the morning, even if you get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, rain should be gone. There'll still be some clouds around early with some breaks in them, but they continue to clear out as we go through the day, eventually turning mostly sunny tomorrow. And temperatures will, again, like today, top out around 70, some spots slightly warmer, some spots slightly cooler. Here's a look at highs around the entire area. Palm Springs, the warmest at 82, and the mountains like Big Bear, one of the coolest at 51. But most areas on the map here, upper 60s to low 70s will be common. We have another coolish day on Thursday. I'm calling it coolish because this is still just around average for this time of year, so it's not like it's really far from the norm at all. But as we get into Friday, we start warming up with those Santa Ana winds. We head to the weekend. We're quite warm with the highs back into the 80s, and it's not just inland areas that could see 80s this weekend. Keep that in mind when we get the offshore Santa Ana wind. The warmth goes all the way to the edge of the ocean. The ocean really doesn't have much of an impact on land because the winds are blowing the air away from the coast. So it could even get over 80 degrees at the coast on Saturday after a couple of cool days coming up. Finally, the valleys, the IE, low 70s for a couple of days, close to 80 Friday, and again into those mid 80s by the weekend. Marla?
Adam, thank you. Hollywood Titan Samuel L. Jackson is joining the fight to save two former LA Zoo elephants. Billy and Tina were secretly moved to the Tulsa Zoo last year, but advocates say Tina is now battling a life-threatening infection Veterinarians say her age and condition limit treatment options, with antibiotics unlikely to fully cure it. Jackson has joined an international coalition calling on the Oklahoma facility to release the pair to a sanctuary, arguing the elephants are in immediate peril and running out of time. New tonight, it is a reunion 4 years in the making for a stolen Boston Terrier named Bea. The pup was taken from his owner's porch in 2022, but was finally found as a stray by a West LA rescue group last week. A vigilant friend spotted Bea in an adoption post, leading to an emotional homecoming for the sweet boy after almost 4 long years apart. Pip Watch officially on as Big Bear's famous bald eagles wait for their eggs to hatch.